I think Aldersgate has impacted me just through the community and the opportunities that they've given me growing up. My family moved here when I was probably about 6 or 7. It's just been really nice to be in that community, especially having older brothers and sisters, like getting to know like all the older people. And I've actually met my mentor through Aldersgate, so that's been really cool. One of my favorite memories from Aldersgate specifically was freshman year at Veritable. Me, Call Irwin, and Jeb Smallword, we found bicycles at the reservation, and we also found these really old cans of Dr. Thunder. So, of course, teenage boys, we took those cans of Dr. Thunder, rode around the reservation, found a cliff, chugged them, and disposed of the evidence by throwing it off the cliff.
I first came to Aldersgate at the end of my freshman year. Before then, I went to multiple youth groups, I was trying things out. So the first time I came to Aldersgate, I immediately knew that that's where God wanted me to be. So since then, I just realized how much I have truly transformed in my relationship with God. My favorite memory is the first time I went to the DC mission trip. It was just so much fun. I mean, really, I can't even pinpoint one specific memory, but I would say that was the most fun. I just love mission trips so much, and it was just a good experience.
So I grew up in Aldersgate. I've been here since I was a little tiny baby. So it's always been a huge part of my life. I kind of stopped going around high school due to my schedule catching up to me and stuff, but lately it's really been a huge part of my life. I've been coming back and getting back into it, and it's done amazing things. My favorite high school experience, I found out what my passion was my junior year, thankfully, because I dropped everything else I really liked, which is teaching. So my favorite memory is probably my students and me have a circle time where you talk about what you love and what you did. So one time we did one where what you want for Christmas. And I said I wanted this pair of shoes that I'd wanted for a really long time, white Doc Martens, because I was 16, really excited about them. And one of my students, it got to them and they were like, well, I want whatever Miss Britt wants because I want to give that to her. And that just made my heart smile. It was so sweet. And that was when I knew I was I want to be a teacher. I'm so excited to teach. It was the best memory ever. I tell everybody about it.
Aldersgate has impacted me in a number of ways. For one, I came from a church that wasn't very inclusive of the youth, so I was never really involved in church until I came here, where there was a lot of opportunities for the youth, a lot of people for me to meet who were around my age, who believed the same things as me and encouraged me to, live for the Lord. My favorite memory was at Veritable because that was really my first mission trip that I ever went on. And I remember it was really life-changing in many ways, and that's when I first truly accepted God into my life. So
Aldersgate has just been one of those constant things in my life that I've always been able to go to and be a part of. It makes me happy to go and serve the people that around me in the community of Aldersgate. One of my favorite memories is a lesson that Michael and I did together. We painted a picture similar to that of what Bob Ross does, and we used it for a lesson. It was just one of those moments that's that was connecting me to my youth pastor more, and finding God in painting and seeing how he can relate to us through art. So when I was in 6th grade, it was our second Veritable trip. It was towards the end of the week. It was the last day or something like that. We get to the what we called Not So Grand Canyon, and we got out and we were just looking down at this beautiful canyon. And I'm standing there looking over this railing, and one of the workers at our church, you may know him as Jeff, comes up behind me and graces me with yelling in my ear and shaking me very violently. And I screamed. I was in 6th grade. I cried a little bit too, as I feared for my life being thrown off of the side of a canyon. And man, I've never forgotten that since.
Aldersgate has impacted me by putting people in my life that have shown me how to love others like Jesus loves, and they've all been there for me and supported me through everything, and they've taught me how to do that for other people. My favorite memories was definitely going to the Veritable mission trip, because I got to experience a bunch of new things I've never done before, like painting houses and all this manly work that I've never done before, and I got to hang out with some kids and grew a lot of relationships with my friends that I went with.
Aldersgate has impacted me by leading me through my faith and showing me ways to go. Kind of helps me through my high school life. Favorite memory was probably Cedar Canyon. Probably my second year going there. The entire experience was awesome to me and really helps me.
Aldersgate's impacted me in many ways, but the main way it's impacted me is I've been here my whole life and it just has a very special place in my life. My favorite memory is probably a variable mission trip, just after a long day of helping kids and working on projects and stuff, just hanging out with friends and playing Ultimate Frisbee.
Aldersgate has impacted me by just giving me a place that I can always go to with the people that I love and support me and that I know will always be there for me. My favorite memory would be my first year in DC on the 4th of July, whenever we went to the Lincoln Memorial to watch the fireworks. And then we actually missed the last metro, so we had to take a really sketchy metro bus back to our hotel, and it was really fun, but sketch.
One way Aldersgate has impacted me, I guess, is through the community. I've met some really great people here who are very important to me. I've met a lot of close friends here, and I just, it's been a place that I've known that I can come to all throughout high school, or even before high school when I was going through a lot. I always knew that I could come to Aldersgate and have people to lean on, or even just come and worship God here. My favorite memory would be church camp my sophomore year, because I got to go with some people that don't get to go anymore. They were seniors that year, and it just also changed my life that year. It was time that I got really close to God, my sophomore year at church camp.
Aldersgate has really given me a community with all my friends and stuff, and sometimes I would stray away and go other places or just not come, but I always had a home here, and I always had people that would welcome me and love me. I think probably the DC trip 2 years ago was my the highlight of my Aldersgate youth experience. It was just so fun. It was so fun to get to go, and I was roommates with Ashley Fraser, and so we would stay up almost all night and just laugh. I don't even know what we would laugh about, but we'd sit there and we'd laugh so hard the whole time.
My advice to underclassmen is definitely cherish the moment. It comes by fast.
You're only in high school for 4 years, and so do all the things, hang out with your friends.
And so I was really involved in theater and orchestra and a lot of fine arts stuff like that. And once I got to my junior year, I really didn't do that. I wasn't as involved because I was it's gonna be over soon. And with that, I left my entire presence behind me just because I was way too ready to graduate.
Don't go in just waiting to get out, because it does fly by, and when it's over, you're gonna miss it.
Don't really care what other people think about you, because honestly in high school nobody knows what they're doing, so just do you.
Stay true to who you are, because middle school and high school can be brutal, and as long as you stick to what you know and just keep working on yourself and your relationship with the Lord, then you're on the right track.
Be welcoming to everyone and encourage one another, because I feel encouraging others does not only do a work in others, but it does a work in yourself.
Live as authentically as you possibly can, and to do that, you need to surround yourself with people who really care about you and people that you care about too.
The people that you surround yourself with are going to impact you.
Just because you're gonna miss it. Senior year comes and you're okay, life's about to start becoming harder. I'm gonna start having to think about college and scholarships and all these things, but
Don't worry about it. It'll all work out some way, somehow. I've learned that not everything's as clean cut as it looks, and that you need to work and need to go branch out, find different ways to teach people and also learn yourself.
Faith isn't something that you can just all of a sudden get. It's something that you have to work on. And once you have that faith with God, something you can always lean back on and trust.
One thing that I've learned about faith in God is that He's gonna be there for us no matter what. It's been a crazy year, and we're all still here living it. No matter how much we want to run away and give up on our faith, He's always gonna be there at the end of the day with open arms ready for us.
One thing I've learned about God is He's always going to be there. He's always going to stay. No matter how much I push Him away or how much I try and run away, no matter what I do, He's always going to welcome me back to His arms.
One thing that I've learned about faith in God is to really just trust Him in the hardest times. And when you're at your lowest, or you feel like He's not there, that's when He's there the most. And that when you're fleeing away from God, that's when He wants you to pull closer to Him. And You know, especially with last year, I've really learned to like just put my faith in God and trust His plan.
What I've learned about faith in God is that in order to get more faith, you have to be obedient, and obedience doesn't come overnight. It's the obedience in the small things that add up, and you have to be obedient and faithful in the small things to be obedient and faithful in the big things.
So I have learned that the Holy Spirit is always talking to us. It's just a matter of like, if we trust that He is and believe that He is, then He will use us. Like, I think the most beautiful thing is that He'll use us like in community, so that like we won't feel alone and that there's someone else to relate to.
I really didn't have as much as faith as I did when I first went into high school. Lately, it has been growing on me a lot. I realize I distanced myself and I'm ready to get back into it and grow my faith as strong as it was before, even stronger. At that moment in high school, it's like, well, I'm as close as I can be, but you're never gonna be as close as you possibly can be. You just have to work to get there.
The biggest thing I've learned about faith in God would probably be to trust Him, because I mean, I consider myself a bit of a control freak sometimes, so I want everything to go a certain way. But I learned that even when things don't go the way I plan it to, they are working out for the better, because God's plan is what is going to get me through life.
I've learned that my faith in God is lacking, and God's faith in me is pretty consistent, and that when He tells me what to do, I should probably listen to Him. It doesn't always work out when you don't listen to Him. I love seeing this thing on Instagram. It says, every story in the Bible is basically going, God told them to do this, narrator, they didn't do this. So it's like, you know, God's like, hey, go preach to these people. And no, I'm gonna run away instead. That'll be great. So anyways, that's typically God knows what's best for both His kingdom and your life.
I've learned that it is most important to build a relationship with the Lord rather than just to read about Him and kind of treat Him like schoolwork. It's about spending time with Him every single day and getting to know Him while He is just working in you.